Yeah, good. So I've been working, basically working in the doing HSE stuff at the plant,
Yeah.
and I must be doing all right because the actual project manager, who's from Heineken, wants me to stand in for him
Good.
for four days, 13th, 14th, and 15th.
Oh, that's good.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. So the company that I'm doing this through, which is Lorry and Engineering, they're obviously chopped to bits. So
Oh, I heard
yeah,
of
so
them, mate. Yeah.
yeah, it's all coming back to me. They permit to work and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, no, it's been good because it's like I say, keeps your hand in on the safety side.
Well, it does keep you busy. I mean, I was watching with interest, the comments that came after your trip to talk to the HSE people about security. I thought that was quite interesting, and that obviously got
Yeah,
some
I
good
say, well,
feedback.
yeah, that was a really good day to be honest, and it started out as a 2 hour presentation and then went on for 3 hours.
Right, yeah.
Because what I said at the very start was every time we get to a slide, and if you've got any questions, bear in mind that we're trying to teach a discipline to people that have got no idea about security, and I said
Yeah.
every time you get to a slide and you've got questions, then let's thrash it out so that you understand it. And then every slide that came up was ended up as a sort of 10-minute discussion, which is great interaction. But what the feedback was, Mick, can we make that a one day course and throw in a load of practical stuff as well? So we're gonna take that on board
Oh, that'd
um,
be cool, man.
because
Yeah.
because it's a lot to take in for non-security people, I suppose. Learning it's a bit like teaching safety to a
Yeah.
security guy. You need more than a couple of hours.
Yeah, you do. You need to give them a good stab at it. So I was down. You might have seen. I was in London. I spend a lot of time in London. But most months I spend maybe 2 or 3 days down there. And you've seen that article. I just thought that might be worth us having a quick chat about that because something happened in London on the same day that article appeared in whatever the freebie paper. You might have been the Standard or the Metro. I'm not sure which one it was. So I'd finished my work. I was at Brixton. I was working for one of my bus companies, and I do the audits for them. And I headed back to done the audit. Jumped on the bus, went back down, and outside of Brixton main station, the main tube station, it's always busy. You know London very, very well. So it's mental. It's always hassle and bustle. And there's a guy there, and he's playing like a kettle drum. And he was really good, and it caught my attention, and I stood and watched him. And then for whatever reason, another guy took umbrage about it, and they started having a go at each other, and they started arguing and fighting. The guy picked up his kettle drum, the one who wasn't playing it, so whoever this other random guy was, picked up his kettle drum, and he threw it down the stairs to the tube station. So all this left was the stand that a minute ago was holding the kettle drum. So what did the guy do? He picked it up, the stand, and proceeded to smack this guy over, and it just went mental. But it got me thinking about what you and I have talked about: crime, security, and in particular, your being aware of what's going on. I started to walk away because I don't like people fighting in my vicinity. But the vast majority of people got the phones out and started video. And I legged it. I just buggered off. It's not in my lane. I'm out of here. And then, interestingly enough, I was then reading the paper about the crime on the buses and the tubes, and I thought that would be a really good thing to chat to Mick about today. And if you're all right with that, let's have a
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I must admit that's one of the big pointers when we're teaching security situation awareness and personal safety is the need when you're in built up areas, when you're in crowds, predominantly bus stations, train stations, places like that. That's when your heightened awareness really comes into its own, if that makes sense, because that's where crime happens. And a lot of it, when you started talking about the drum thing there, I actually thought you're going to talk about the distraction, because sometimes what people do is they'll play drums or they'll play an instrument, but they're actually in cahoots with two or three people in the crowd who are distracted. and start doing their pickpocketing routine and stuff like that. You know,
That's
and
really
it's
interesting.
very easy to get distracted, especially in the smoke in London.
Yeah,
And that's what goes. But yeah, so it's really important that when people do, especially with people that, you know, rural people, when they head to the big cities,
yeah.
because it's a bit of a shock to the system, is to be switched on at all times, like, you know, because there's all sorts out there.
Well, I thought it was really timely because of you know, just coming into Christmas, so crowds of people gathering, But of course, whilst the good guys and girls and whatever are out there doing their Christmas shopping and having a glass of mulled wine, well, that's the prey. There's all your victims all gathered around, ready to be picked and pocketed and whatever else, and they're unaware. I was watching very carefully, and I think this is actually following our discussions over the last few weeks. I kind of look out. I'm not worried for my own safety any more than I always have been anyway. But I now find myself looking at what people are doing and looking at how people are interacting in groups and crowds, particularly when I'm in London and I spend a lot of time on the bus. I spend time on the tube. One behaviour I have changed as a direct result of this is on the way into London, as I come into King's Cross, my wallet goes inside and gets zipped up now because you just flipping never know. But that article then that was in, was it the Standard or whatever it was, it hones in on the key crimes, and one of the ones was pickpocketing, but violence and violent attacks, in particularly on buses, committed by predominantly teenage youths, and there's more than one of them. Is there much we can do about that? What can we do? You know, what can people do to not become that victim, I guess, on a bus or a tube, or any tips on that one, mate? What?
Yeah, it's really just, yeah, it's just having a wider vision when you sat on there and taking everything that's happening around you. And as soon as your senses go up and you feel that it's not the place to be, is to get off the bus
Yeah.
as soon as you can. For females especially, what we always say is never ever sit on the window side of a seat. You always sit on the aisle side, and it really just so it gives you an opportunity to escape. And the other one is if somebody sits next to you and puts their hand on your leg or something and you feel intimidated, it's just to scream as loud as you possibly can. And the reason being is everybody, when they hear a scream, will automatically turn around and see what's actually going on, and it's a good way of bringing the attention to an
Sure.
individual if you feel that individual
Yeah.
is trying to intimidate you.
I guess it's that awareness again, isn't it? You know, you always talk about it yourself, but just be aware of what's going on around you. Because, as we said, it's so easy to get lost in the moment. You know, hey, look, Christmas lights and people playing drums
Yeah,
and dressed as Santa, and the next thing you know, your bag's gone, your wallet's gone, or whatever. One alarming thing that. So after that, I started doing a little bit of research, and I got onto YouTube, and I just brought up Transport for London's crime stats. That was absolutely frightening, gone rocketing. Post COVID, since COVID and everyone's back out now, the levels of crime far exceed pre-COVID days. I'm not quite sure why that is, but they do. And it's those robberies, sexual assaults that you've just been mentioning there is on the up as well, predominantly, but not always. But predominantly females getting attacked. And then the scary one that I've just looked at this morning is, again, it goes back to the awareness. People getting pushed onto the tracks on a tube. But the one I watched this morning, again, awareness, I guess, is the message. There's a guy, he's probably in his 50s. He didn't die, by the way, but there's a guy 50, 60, and he's got his little headphones on, and he's going about his business, and he's stood right near the yellow line on the tube, and some random guy just runs from the gap down the stairs and shoves him, and over he goes onto the track. And you might say, yeah, but what can you do about that? But there's a lot. I'm guessing there's a lot you can do.
No, you can't legislate to, the crazy thing that happens. It's one of the things, and it's how you react to it happening. I mean, obviously, the best thing is always avoid a situation. But sometimes, if you're in the wrong place at the wrong time, it's going to happen, then that's where your training kicks in.
Yeah.
Or if you've had any training, where that sort of kicks in. But one thing I have noticed, and we see it in the rural industry walking around, is just the lack of awareness about what's going on, and we keep highlighting this to farmers as well that spend well, I would say not millions, but lots of money on security designs and everything else, and but they actually neglect the actual workers.
Yeah.
If people can start training the workers to be a bit more switched on and know what to look out for, and just make them more aware. It's the same as people walking in the streets of London. If you've got a bit of security situation awareness about you, you can avoid most incidents, if that makes sense.
It does, and
it's
I
the
think
same as,
on
yeah,
that note, so in the last few days, there's been a big thing called crop tech going on, and you saw the article where there was various companies putting out, talking about security, talking about agricultural, in particular farm safety and security, but I think they were missing a trick. And I've got a meeting lined up with a lady I know fairly well called Annie Wynn, who's involved in the marketing and the promotion of these shows. And I'm having a chat with Annie early next week to see if we can't sort of encourage a change in direction, because the talk in all of those articles was CCTV cameras, sensors, this, that, and the other. Yeah, well, I think what people are missing there, Mick, is, you know better than I, you're out in the middle, and you're out there yourself, you're in the middle of nowhere. Let's say the CCT is even monitored, which 9 times out of 10 it's not going to be. So it's only going to ever come into play once all your thousands of pounds worth of tractor or quad bike or chainsaws are probably even out of the country by now. So even if it's monitored, they're not that useful. I think it gives people a false sense of security, all this tech, all this, there's a place for it, but it ain't the forefront. And you've hit it right on the head there. Get your people trained, get people alert, get them aware, situational awareness again. What's going on around me? Who's that? What's he or she doing there? Why is that vehicle there? What's different? Where's my gate gone? Why is there a hole in my hedge? All of those basic things that technology can't buy, basically, people.
Yeah, because when you think, a CCTV camera that's cost a fortune has got quite a sort of restricted zone, if that makes sense. And so people pay thousands for that, and they tend to forget that their farm workers are like mobile CCTV cameras. Yeah. They're taking in the whole atmosphere. But as long as that mobile CCTV system is able to register what they're actually seeing, then they can get the most use out of it, if that makes sense. But it's no good having a camera that's either not recording or whatever. It's the same as people. If they're not aware of what's happening, then all that what they're seeing is totally wasted. And
yeah,
I think until the rural industry wake up to the fact that it's actually the workers and the farm managers and the farmer themselves that are the key, that it's the whole key, not fancy CCTV systems, certainly not the police, and certainly not I know the rural crime units do brilliant in their own little way, but they're not the key. The key is the farm workers themselves, because they're the ones that can see things on a daily basis. They know the farm better than anybody else.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So a security guy will come in there and recommend this, that, and the other, but actually that worker in the corner knows more about that farm than what that security guy does. So you've got to tap into that, and I'm a big believer that more emphasis should be put on the farm workers themselves.
Yeah.
And
I'm with you on that one, 100%. And hence the direction of our sort of travel about awareness and the training that we'll launch in the near future. I think it will hit the spot right, because it will complement what it will complement and enhance what's going on. Yes, the police, I'll talk about those in a moment, because there's an interesting thing going on where I live at the moment, in just up the road in Northumberland. But you got the police and you've got all this tech, whatever. Add the people element, up the people element, get it better trained, better aware, more alert to look out for stuff, and then react. And so again, that's where your training becomes so important. Yeah, so something's not quite right. Right, what do I do about it? Who do I report it to? What's the follow-on? There's a company in Northumberland. I'm looking at my notes now because I was just looking at this morning. They're building these massive solar panel farms right out in the middle of nowhere, making good use of the land, and it's open to the sun. And so this is a huge thing on the outskirts of Newcastle, 15 miles north of Newcastle. Acres and acres of solar panels. Already the Northumberland police have said, get your security sorted out. If you report a crime to us in that location, we'll see you about half an hour later. So the police are telling you, you've got to get your security, because they're going to come and nick your panels, and they're going to come and nick your copper. And then I looked at copper prices this morning. It's £4 a kilo. It's $4,000 for a ton of copper. That's quick, easy money. And apparently in one sitting, these organized gangs will come in, stake you out, decide that you're vulnerable, and just strip you bare. Hundreds of panels gone, all your copper gone, and that's just gone. You're left with a problem.
Yeah, no, it's a point that we brought up last week when we were doing the HSE course for the farmers, the farm managers, and it was most thieves, what they're looking for is quite large and valuable equipment, which means they need a vehicle. So it's making your site or your fields a lot more inaccessible to a vehicle.
Yeah,
if that makes and it's the old adage of when they do their recce's, the criminals do the rec. If they look at a site and they think actually that's going to be a bit difficult to try and breach, then you'll just push them on somewhere else, which is what you want.
They'll go elsewhere. Yeah.
And I know it sounds a bit callous, but what the farmers are trying to do is you're hoping that the farm next door gets robbed, not yours, because yours is actually more secure and you've actually put the effort in. And I know, and it's the same as your houses. You're hoping that your next door neighbour, their car and their house gets broken in and not yours.
Yeah.
Because if that's the case, it means that you've actually done the job right. They've looked at your house and thought, difficult.
I've made the effort. I've done what I need to
absolutely.
do. And there's someone who hasn't.
It does sound a bit callous, thinking that way, but unfortunately, that's just the way you have to be,
Yeah, you do, and because that's the world we live in. So you got the criminal. They're out there. They're never going to go away, and they will go for the weak and easy target all the time. This solar farm that's being built. It's in the news. There's no secrets here. It's all over everywhere. It's a company called X-Gen. That's what they do. They're putting in 100,000 panels. And what the Northumberland police, they've said to them, look, as you build this, you're gonna get it, unless you get your security right, they're gonna get you. And they're gonna nick a lot of your panels and all of your copper, and they're gonna make a fortune out of you. And then the police have thrown in some statistics bespoke to the area. Again, I'm reading from things here that the police have told them that if you get attacked, the stats say that 61% of those locations that have been done are gonna get done again within a year.
Yeah.
Same old adage. Insurance company, I've had all my kit nicked. Oh, there you go. Here's some new kit. Back from the criminals. Boom. Here we go. Double whammy, double picking.
Yeah, absolutely. And at the same time, the farmers' premiums are going up.
Yeah,
up,
exactly.
You know what I mean? It's just, it's mad. Bizarrely, some farms, organisations, they actually budget for criminality. Losses. When actually that budget that you should be investing in your people, securing your people, or for a massive site like that, I personally would hire a private security company. to keep an eye on it. So the private security doing something that the police should be doing anyway, but we understand why the police don't do it is because they're underfunded. So bring in an organisation that can actually secure your site, if that makes sense.
All about proactivity. It's an interesting point you make. Yeah, don't budget to be robbed. Be budgeted not to be robbed. Invest in your people and your security, and you won't be the victim, as you said. Someone else who's not paying attention will get that attention of the criminals. That's fascinating. It really is.
Yeah, I find that staggering. That people actually budget for losses.
Planning,
and you
planning,
think, well,
planning to fail. Yeah. That's what it is.
Yeah, exactly. It's a negative. It's a real negative attitude.
Yeah.
And then you look at their security, and they've got nothing in place, and you think, well, no wonder. You're just asking to be taken apart. Like you got to do something.
That's why I think what we've sort of embarking upon here, and things are gathering a nice little pace here. That in the non too distant future, we're going to be able to say to people, come and have a chat. You come and have a chat about many things. Come and have a chat about your personal awareness, your situational awareness, and obviously you've got your good self and your background, your history. And I think that one of the key things here, you've got your Healy on board as well, because there's a different dynamic needed for talking to the ladies and teenagers and girls and that kind of stuff. So I think that's a great offering. And then people are going to be able to avail themselves of your expertise in agriculture and rural security, my expertise in farm safety, risk management, and it's a lovely little complementary package. And of course, they'll have access to training courses and reach out to us. What's given me really a good feeling of late is the reach that we're now getting. So we've spoken to people in Australia, we've spoken to people in New Zealand. We've got people signed up on our course in America already, and we haven't even launched the course yet. The concept is being, and then of course we're chatting next Tuesday, indeed, to Matt from the Dublin University, who all these people have done, real in-depth research into rural crime. So we're not just coming at this from like, oh, we think this is a good idea. We've done our homework. We've spoken to the global experts, and we're going to be able to say to people, come and have a chat. And what you'll take away from us is something that potentially, if you implement it, could save your life, look after your family, your livelihood, your house, and make a real difference to the protection of your business. And that's a win-win situation. And I'm a great advocate, and I know you are, Mick, that people like insurance companies, insurance brokers, and rural advisors, businesses who advise rural businesses, if we can get them on board as well to sort of bang the drum and spread the message, it's going to be a win-win-win situation, with the end game always being that farmer, that rural business, that rural community, they win. That they're the winners. The criminals have to bugger off somewhere else, and those that have invested the time and effort, they reap the benefits. Basically, that's how I see it going, really.
Yeah, I tell you what, it's the reason I like this concept is we're actually doing the right thing, and the right thing in security nowadays, it seems to be missing. It's more for, listen, you need all this CCTV camera, blah 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 blah, without actually putting an arm around the farmer and the farm workers and saying, listen, mate, this is how we can help you. Let's bring it back to basics again. It's the same as when we teach and when we try and get this story out to corporate management and stuff like that, all they're interested in is the safety of their people while they're at work. Well, actually, what you should be investing is their safety outside of work as well, because if they can't get to work or they get mugged on the way home at night, you're losing an employee. So if you can invest in that individual so that he can get home or get to the farm on time safely, then that in the end it's the farm workers that will thank the people in charge for keeping them safe, and that seems to be, at the moment, that seems to be lost on a lot a lot of people, because corporate organizations are only interested in what's happening at the workplace itself.
Yeah, you're right.
and
You've
not
got to
actually
think
the
wider.
bigger
It's
picture.
more. Yeah, there's more. There's a wider approach to it. Those people, they're the most important asset for any business.
Yeah.
Get that right. Look after your people, and the rest will follow.